Hi, I'm Seb Hembest from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, and I'm here at COP21 Paris at the Climate Summit for local leaders, and I'm joined by the Mayor of Oakland, California, Libby Schaaf. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's amazing.
It is amazing, isn't it? There's a lot going on, and you've been very busy. What have you been doing over the last few days?
Well, I'm part of a leadership circle that is really trying to emphasize the role of local governments in climate change. Obviously, we're all focused on these national accords, but local governments play a huge role, and there's a much bigger presence at this COP than anyone's ever seen before of local, state, and companies, organizations. Clearly, there's a huge movement. I've also been on a couple of panels, one highlighting some of the climate action change that Oakland has accomplished. We're really seen as some of the leaders in the world. And then also a panel on partnerships and collaboration, looking at how state, local, government, and companies, as well as nonprofits, can team up together to really impact global climate change.
So that, you talk about cities and regions and companies all being very powerful actors at this event. Do you think that's going to make a big difference? Do you think, is that pressure or that noise or that activity starting to have an effect?
Absolutely.
In the main game?
It is. And for two reasons. One, we're creating the political pressure and support for national leaders, but we also are proving that it can be done, and it can be done without tremendous cost and with actual benefits to the economy. Because that's a bit of a myth out there, that climate change is too expensive, it's too difficult, but cities are showing that it is not too expensive, it is not too difficult. In fact, we cannot afford to not change our practices. In the city of Oakland, some things we've done, we've swapped out all of our street lights to LED. And we are going to save so much money on our electricity bill that we actually were able to pay for the entire conversion just out of the future savings on that bill. We've swapped out, for our diesel vehicles, we're using renewable diesel. It didn't cost us a penny more, but we're seeing 70% fewer emissions. The other thing we're talking about in Oakland is not just measuring our core emissions, but also measuring our consumption emissions. And that's why we have focused a lot on zero waste. We've put a lot of energy into changing how we do, let's just talk trash, garbage in Oakland. And that's because it's not just about the emissions that are coming out of Oakland, but what about the emissions anywhere in the world that's caused by the consumption that happens in Oakland, California?
So consumption's a much more difficult measure, right? If you're thinking about the emissions from our consumption rather than what we're producing, that's another level of stringency or another level of ambition.
It is, but it recognizes that we are part of a planet. And that's what this entire movement is about. Recognizing our interconnectivity, recognizing that if we are going to be resilient as cities, we need to see how we all interplay. And frankly, in Oakland, because we have focused on zero waste, our core emissions reductions in the last 10 years are 10%, but our consumption emission reductions are 15%. So we've actually done better under the consumption measure, even though it is technically a harder measure.
Is there opposition? I've had a lot of really interesting and exciting initiatives, the sort of things you've been talking about, but also for many other mayors over the day. Barriers. I mean, is there pushback on this? If you're asking people to change their behaviour, surely that's difficult for them to do, and it's not all plain sailing?
It is, and I'll tell you, when we just rolled out our new garbage contract, there was a lot of yelling about it. The bills went up. People were asked to separate their food waste for the first time. And I got to admit it, I've got one in my kitchen. It's a little stinky sometimes to collect your food waste. But that creates knowledge, understanding, education about the significance of what we are putting into the waste stream. And so it is part of the educational and awareness process. And I've just got to say that in the Bay Area, we're very lucky to have a very progressive, a very environmentally aware population. I know other parts of the country don't have that type of political support. It's been great to be here with mayors from places like Salt Lake City, Utah, where there's not that overwhelming political support. but this is a mayor who's gotten things done nonetheless. And that's a great example for our US Congress, who also needs really some help to push some more real tangible progress from the national commitments that we need to make.
Libby Schaaf, that's been fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us, and all the very best for the rest of your time here at COP.
Oh, thanks so much, Seb.